In this video, I shall be looking at reasons for why the INR fluctuates and looking at the major methods of dosing, and in particular I'd like to introduce you to a new method for dosing which is called nudging. The reasons for the fluctuations in the INR are legion. The ones that people always blame are food, medicines, certainly some more than others. The trouble with some of the medicines is there's a suspicion they will influence it, but we don't know the strength or the direction, so it could increase or it could decrease. It does help to know which way it's going. Food supplements, some of them can certainly influence, in particular ones high in vitamin K. A change of climate, maybe. Gut flora, I'll do a separate video on that one day. That certainly influences the INR because it's the gut who are responsible for a large amount of the body's vitamin K. And then any kind of fasting or semi-fasting can influence the INR, and of course illness can influence the INR. Now, all sounds frightening. I've managed 30 years. Look, relaxed dosers usually adjust the dose to suit their food and lifestyle. And there are some foods I avoid, in particular spinach and Brussels sprouts. I'll be coming to that because I love them and I do eat a few from time to time, but a few is usually possible for most people, but taking a big mealful of Brussels sprouts is probably a no-no. Now, major methods for dosing. Firstly, it's always advised that you have a stable diet and lifestyle. Well, forget that. Why do I say that? I lived for many years in the Mediterranean and my diet was very seasonal. I would eat a lot of fresh fruit and vegetables, and the fruit and the vegetables available depended on the season. So I couldn't have a stable diet because the diet changed because the fruit and vegetables changed. And that may be one reason why the natural variation was so high in my case. Then, so there is the argument that you should stabilize your diet and your lifestyle. Okay. Or that may help some people. When there's an extreme INR, the usual method is to change the dose. And in case of a very high INR, to miss a day or even 2 days and then change the dose. It's helpful to think of a reservoir. Now, I was told, as you may recall, that a charged paintbrush was a good analogy of Warfarin. Perhaps a better one is a reservoir, and I'm sorry I don't have a picture of it. The INR is like the level of water in a reservoir. A reservoir will have a topping up stream at one side and an overflow the other side. In this case, the level in the blood is topped up by warfarin dose each evening, and then it's used up during the day. And the aim is to keep the level of the INR between acceptable range. Now, why does the INR not change very quickly? That's because of buffering, and there'll be a separate video on buffering. The whole reservoir is sluggish. It changes slowly, but it can change. Now, the normal ways of doing things are that you change the input when you want to change the INR. Take a typical patient with a range of 2.5 to 3.5 and dose 5 milligrams. One day the INR was 4.4. Standard advice is decrease the dose by 10%. This means down to 4.5 milligrams. Nudging would not change the dose. Nudging would do a minor change of dose for a few days, then back to normal. Because maybe the dose, the INR will self-regulate. Nudging then would be, in this case, for a high INR of, for instance, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, then 5 milligrams. On the other hand, if you get an INR of 2.2, standard advice is to increase the dose by 10%. Nudging means trying out first doses of 7, 6, 5.5, then 5 milligrams as usual. This video then was to explain the basic concepts, especially of the reservoir and nudging. I will use these concepts in other videos. Nudging means adjusting the level of the reservoir without changing the input. If you like, it's like putting some extra stones into the reservoir or removing some of the stones. And if you want some more details about this, I have published a small paper on the subject which you can find here.